Yeah, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this session. My name is Hisham, account manager at Openprovider. So today we will talk about different topics related to COVID-19 and impact on our business. So the goal of this session is all of you attendees can participate with us. This is something interactive. So if you want to ask something or you want to join in one specific topic or you want to comment anything, you can hands up and you can start to talk without problem. So we prepare different topics. We heard your questions by the sign up form. So we will discuss about it. I'm not the expert here, of course. That's why we have here Arno. And let's move on. Do you want to introduce yourself, Arno, for those who don't know about you?
Yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Arno Vis from the Netherlands. I currently live in Barcelona for a few years already. I'm married, 2 kids, and I'm the founder of Openprovider and PowerPanel, SAP Invoices, and in the past some other companies. And yeah, super cool that so many of you take some time to join us for an interactive talk in these hard times. Yeah, the coronavirus is hitting not only from a healthcare perspective, but also from an economy perspective. So we thought maybe we can chat a bit about it and probably share some experiences. I will share mine at least. And like Hicham said, feel free to ask questions and we can make this interactive. That would be very nice. So back to you, Hicham.
So yeah, thank you. As I said, we prepare different topics. I would like to start with one of the most important topic, which is the impact on your employees on your business. So, and I have one specific question about this topic, but I would like to know if you feel some big impact or huge impact in this moment on when all the countries or most of countries on Europe are being in lockdown and all those struggles that we are facing now.
Yeah, it seems that we are one of the happy few that are very lucky. It's so far the domain business is not affected. We're still growing. We basically business as usual. So far, from most of our customers, we hear the same things, that the business is going strong. Probably the last thing that people now stop with is a website or a domain name. But and let's hope, knock on wood, that it will stay like this. But so far, the impact on our business has been nothing actually. So if I look around me in entrepreneur circles, it's not everywhere like this. It's people losing up to 100% of their revenue, and many, I think the majority is affected. I think up to 75% of companies have impact, at least, maybe more. In Spain, but also in the Netherlands.
So I can say, for example, from my perspective, as account manager, I had the chance to talk with several companies and working with Openprovider. Most of them are all out of Europe, but the thing here, they also shared the point that they are not being too much affected, but they have to be more flexible in about the pricing policy or even the refund policy, because they saw that customers was starting new projects, but in the middle of this time they had to stop or whatever. What do you think about if the companies need to be more flexible about their pricing? Of course, it's a margin loss there, because if they have to reduce the pricing, but what do you think about this point?
Well, what I think is that basically we're in this together. I mean, the economy is, in the end, a closed system. You need consumers or businesses to buy your products. You need your suppliers to stay alive. So in the end, we're all in this together, and there is not one rule fits all solution, I would say. In some cases, it it makes sense for everybody to negotiate, for example, on the rent of a building, because there is not really a direct cost. It's a long-term thing. On a mortgage, you can also argue, okay, you don't pay your fee 3 months, but you add it to the end of the mortgage and you pay, instead of 10 years longer, you pay 10 years and 3 months longer. So in many industries, it's kind of tough. It's either you or the other one that has to sacrifice. So yeah, in the domain name industry, there is also a little maneuver space in the sense that so far registries didn't think they should do anything. And maybe with the small amounts involved, that makes sense. A .nl or a .com with a cost price of $8 and a little, what's the point of making it lower on the business data impact? Of course, all small steps help, but so far we haven't seen it. There is some registries that are flexible with, how do you call it? Domains that are deleted and you want to get back. So some fees are waived there. That could be helpful. If you're late with a payment and accidentally your domain is deleted, you can take it out of quarantine for free in some cases. So that helps a little, I would say. But in our industry specifically, yeah, we haven't got the question yet. And with our suppliers so far, it doesn't seem that there is a lot of space to do something.
We saw some registries, for example, that they take small actions. For example, .es, who the period, for example, was 15 days, and then the domain is deleted. Now they suspend the deletion for those domains who expired in order to
really?
give it more time. For example, these things happens also with some of other extensions. With for example, the redemption fee was reduced or even was canceled for some cases. So I think our industry takes some small actions, not enough, because of course they have a lot of actions, but yeah, of course, sometimes if we think about the domain name specific product, if you're a hosting company and you have the 100% margin, for example, for the hosting, you can give the customer, for example, 2 months free, and then he can buy again or renew or whatever. So it is up to the company, I think. It depends on the perspective.
Yeah, again, there is not one size fits all solution for everything. I think the main thing is that you talk to each other. If there is a problem, if there is an issue, in our case, just call us, and we will see what we can do, and we talk about it, and everything that's reasonable, we're open for. I don't see a big problem there. On registry side, the problem there is that they're all a monopoly. So where do you go? You cannot leave and .com if you need a .com. You have to take it from VeriSign in this case. So that's there. We haven't seen a lot of movement there. I know on ICANN level they try to do something, and it seems also not all registrars are really interested in this kind of thing. So it is what it is, and at times, let's be honest, times are tough, and I hope everybody's healthy. Luckily, in our company, we had a few cases that, well, nobody's tested, but was pretty sure there was coronavirus, and luckily everybody is better again and healed. But yeah, we also have people in some countries where it's just beginning. So, it's still exciting times from the healthcare perspective. And I noticed myself that in Spain, as you know, HM, it's kind of a strict lockdown. And after 6 weeks, this week when it was raining here, it was started to really get annoying. So far, it was okay for me personally. As long as there's a bit of sunshine every day, and you don't
like party, of course. That's what's happened.
I'm too old to party like you.
Of course. So thank you for your words, Arno. So I would like to move forward for of course, we know I would like to cover a lot of topics, but we don't have a lot of time. So let's focus on some specific topics.
There's a question, I think, for somebody.
Yeah, let's see.
Jaume.
Jauma from MMX, also our ex-colleague. So let's see. Oh no, he down his hands. Come on, Jama. You don't want to talk now? Okay. I will save this for you later. um, so, for example, on leadership nearing this time. So, what do you think about how we can? Of course, it's something kind of hard to measure, and also sometimes it's hard to answer. But we have one specific question from one of our attendees who said how to ensure that remote employees are productive. And this is something about leadership. So what do you think?
Well, let's start with this topic. I can make some more comments, but to keep your employees productive, I think it starts with trust. I mean, we are a very distributed company. We have offices in several countries. And because they are spread out, you know, since I started with this in 2008, when we opened our first office in Siberia, and I was already then thinking, you know, how can I control people when they are 7,000 kilometers away? And the answer then already was, you cannot. So I think it's about trust. It's about a lot of communication and not running the company based on input, in the sense that I want to control that you're in your chair in front of your laptop 8 hours a day, and it should start at 9 and it has to finish at 5, and in between you can take a 15-minute break, etc., etc. And then everything is okay. So we try to manage on output. So we have goals. We have company goals, we have individual goals, and we make people accountable for their individual goals. And it doesn't really matter so much if it's if you can do it in half your time, it's also fine. It's not that's not really the issue. So yeah, the better you practice to, and it's basically practice. There is also not a simple rule that you can roll out. You practice, you measure, you talk, you adjust, and but focus on output. If you can make good output, you know, in general, you see that people take the responsibility, and you always know if people don't take the responsibility to do what they have to do. And that becomes obvious even if you don't see them or cannot know that they're 8 hours behind the computer. So this is how we try to do it, and I think so far we're doing pretty well. And
so I can tell you from my perspective. So because you was, I mean, you have experience from on the another side. I can say, for example, from my personal perspective as employee from one remote company, but also from my previous experience, job experience. So there's still some companies who have like a really odd mindset. So they think when you work more hours, you will be like more productive. And if you are like, I don't know, staying 18 hours, 12 hours in the laptop means you gotta work better or more. So I think it's wrong, let's say, because we have to base the targets or the goals in, as you mentioned, in personal goals and the company goals. And if the goals are achieved, it's because we are doing good, let's say.
Yeah.
It's about the trust, of course, but it's also about the really good organization, a leadership, as we are talking about this topic, because a really good manager have to trust, of course, but also have to have a real control on the benefits of the employee and what they are doing. I think it's a different perspective from the manager side, from the company side, and how much we want to be flexible, the company. So this is, I think, quite a global mind and the old levels.
Yeah, you know, and what you find out, especially, we were early sending people home. So talking about leadership, before any country lockdown where we are active with people, we already locked down all our offices because we thought, you know, this is not going in the right direction. So better to be safe than sorry. So I think 2 days before Spain closed down, and even longer before Netherlands closed down, which are our main offices in Russia, there is a close down since 2, 3, 4 weeks, but we were kind of late. It's also not really a close down. We decided, okay, we know we have to take this responsibility. We send everybody home, and yeah, health first, you know. Although many people already work from home, where it's not changed, not for everybody it's that easy. If you have, you know, not a huge house and you have small children, and your partner is also there, then working can be hard, you know. And yeah, this is we cannot do nothing than accept it and try to figure out if they need something, if we can help, and make it as easy as possible. But yeah, if you cannot leave your own house, you cannot do a lot. But this was our mindset from the beginning. We made a protocol. So, you know, with washing the hands and wearing a mask if possible, etc., etc. We have in the beginning, from what we knew at that point, basically from experience in China mostly, and then already Italy was a little bit worse than here. So we wrote a document and shared it with everybody. I started to do more or less weekly updates around Corona, and specifically in the beginning, and by video. So I made a small video every week and shared that. I think most of the people in the company got their fruit basket, which we sent to everybody to stay healthy, because I think, you know, in a crisis, it's not about work so much, it's also about just staying healthy. So talking about leadership, start with personal leadership. Whether you're a leader or an employee, it doesn't really matter. You know, I personally sport a lot, a lot more than before. I try to exercise 3-4 times a week at least at home. I eat healthy. I mean, cannot go anywhere to eat, so we cook every day and try to do that as very healthy, a lot of fruits and vegetables. And also, yeah, mental health, I think, is maybe after a few weeks of lockdown, the biggest problem for most people, and that is not so easy to manage, you know. Personally, I don't meditate, but I think it's good if you do that. And there are little exercises you can do. One of my favorite management gurus, I'm a member of entrepreneur organization, worldwide organization of 15,000 entrepreneurs. And the guy, Warren Rostand, he has a ritual which I also followed for a while, and it actually works. And it starts basically that you get up, and it sounds a bit soft, but it really is like programming your mind for a positive day, you know. And first you ask yourself for a minute, you know, what am I grateful for, whatever it is. And then he has like these three times 10 minutes, which you can fill in differently, but it's kind of thinking positive thoughts about positive experiences in your life and everything that's positive. Then reading something positive, or in my case, I sometimes watch a YouTube video that I found inspirational, and then writing. You know, write down, make a journal. Write down for a few minutes, you know, all the things in your life that are good despite the crisis. And it's really funny if you do that, especially the moment you wake up. Most people, like me also, grab the phone and start to read the news, and then your day is already sucks, especially in the crisis. If you start this kind of positive, I don't know why I stopped it, because it was a bit long maybe. But it really worked. It was kind of, it's very interesting how you can program your mind to have a great day, basically. So yeah, these kind of things you can do, and I would say is maybe over communicate. I'm definitely communicating more than before. Well, I don't know if it's enough. It's maybe never enough. All the managements, everybody does, especially in Barcelona, that's what I see is a daily check-in. How are you doing? How's it going?
Are you alive? Are you alive?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hicham always has a big story. But it's good, you know, it's also these kind of little mindset things that seem trivial, but they bring a lot. And so, yeah, and then, you know, if I look around me, if you look at all the stuff that is happening with people losing 100% of the business overnight, basically, that's kind of hard to manage as a leader, you know. What I see around me, for example, a discussion about vacation days. Employees are now not in, we are working, so for us in our company, vacation is not an issue. It will be just as normal. But a lot of people have people at home who can do nothing, you know, if you have a restaurant or a bar or whatever. And so they literally are basically for 5-6 weeks, they are free, not voluntarily, but they cannot work. And everybody's afraid the moment the economy starts again that everybody will take their holidays and go on holiday. So that will be the last thing that will kill a business. So how do you do that? How do you communicate with your employees? What is possible by law? And yeah, these are conversations that are sometimes hard to have. Personally, I think, you know, the company and the employees are in this together. And you have to work it out together. So in the Dutch press, you see a lot of these kind of debates going on, and it seems that employees are not always very flexible, and it's understandable, don't get me wrong. But, you know, if the company doesn't survive, your job is gone. And before the crisis, you could work anywhere. But now, if you see in US, 26 million people unemployed. In Netherlands, it seems to be that it will be way over 10% unemployment. Then it's kind of important that your company survives and that you, in reason, help each other. I mean, also running a company, you know,
So
not everybody can be an entrepreneur, not everybody can be an employee. So there is an entrepreneurial risk, which is for the entrepreneur, and that is fair and that's fine. But yeah, if you want to survive, you have to be together also.
Going to a specific thing, we have one question about what is the impact of this crisis on HR? So are we still growing on new employees? So are we looking for new talents?
We are hiring a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So
it seems that we are making the puzzle now of what people we need, but I think we are a 50-55 people company, and I think when we're done with hiring, we add another 20 people or something. And I'm not sure if we can find all the people, but that's so far it seems to be easier to find people at the moment. And I'm not sure if we can pay for everybody. So, but our wish list is kind of long, and we are definitely hiring. Yeah. Also, there we are kind of lucky. So, if you have good people that you, for the audience, that you cannot afford at this moment, even there maybe we can help in some cases. So, you know, we're hiring a sales, marketing, support, development, product management, copywriters, well, basically everywhere. So yeah, this. So if you have somebody that is a problem for your budget at the moment, maybe we can even help there. Depends, of course, the quality. We want to hire good people. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. But it's a struggle, you know. And also there is this sentence: "Never waste a good crisis." Every crisis is opportunity. So also from a leadership perspective, I see also with entrepreneurs that are hit hard. There's so much creativity coming up. It's like volcanoes sometimes that people start to new initiatives, adapt the business to the new reality. It's not possible for everybody, unfortunately, but never waste a good crisis is also something that as a leader we try to do. For us, since it's going well, we definitely don't waste it. We are hiring, but also we are looking, this lockdown and people working from home, is that something that maybe we should consider doing, and what should we then add to what we already do to make that comfortable for everybody. Like I said before, it is not comfortable for everybody because it was forced upon us. But is that something that is an option for the future? And now it's just studying. I'm studying GitHub, who does this, and WordPress. The few of the largest companies that are totally distributed, have no offices. And it's very interesting, but also every advantage has a disadvantage. So some things are better, some things are worse. So yeah, we are definitely looking into it. And now the mindset of everybody is like this. So it's good to look into these things.
Yeah, now it's more usual to see one meeting with doubters in the middle, so it's quite funny. So yeah, we have to understand we need to be flexible on this because we are humans at the end. So of course, I'm of those lucky we are living alone, but not everybody have the same chance, and also they don't have the same mindset on in order to be at home closed talking or working remotely. They cannot focus. Sometimes it's frustrated because you need to switch to another room in order to find the focus.
Definitely.
Quite hard. So more if you are one creative person and you want to do something, you have no idea to do. You just see 4 rooms.
Well, like in sales, I don't know how you see it, but apart from the personal aspect, which I totally understand, what I hope at least is that everybody accepts that calls that you would normally do face to face, and you would travel for it, and by car or by plane or by train, whatever, that it's now okay to have these kind of calls online, because it's so much more efficient. Of course, there's nothing better than meeting face to face in general, but if you have to travel a lot for it, is that really needed? Or can you just organize it that maybe instead of meeting every time face to face? We are an online business, so for us it's already more normal than many businesses. But that you can really do your sales calls online, and that it's okay, and that it works, and that it's perfectly fine. That would be good. I don't know about air quality in every city, but Barcelona was one of the top 5 polluted cities in the world, and nowadays it's below the European norm in air pollution, and I hope that it will stay. And you see it in many countries at the moment. So it's not a lot will of course change when everything goes to normal, but I hope some good things will stay for sure. And,
well, it's for us it's more than normal to do a meeting online. So based on my experience, daily experience, I meet my customers 100% by Zoom or Google Meet or whatever. So we can discuss now the tools, but the thing here is, for example, from my experience, I have to travel when we have to go on event, and we can organize different meetings, or we can see each other face to face because we are so geek. We are always on back to the screen, so we never meet each other, just in those specific cases. So this is why I think we was frustrated when the Cloud Fest, for example, was canceled due to Corona, because I think it's one of those moments we can see all of us, because the sector at the end is like a small family. You can know each other perfectly. Or this happens in Spain, But yeah, sometimes it's frustrating because you have one small chance to see each other, but at the end now it's back to the same story,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool. We have a question about memberships.
Yeah, this is something we can say for how we can help you from Openprovider side. On the membership, for example, Javier from Mexico, he asking, but he is a small company. How we can help small company like them in order to give them, for example, a monthly payments on membership plans instead of January that we are doing already.
Well, I know technically that is a challenge for us. That I know for sure. But maybe you, Hicham, can talk to him and commercially work something out that helps him. And I'm not sure if we can solve that specific thing, but at least to talk about it is sure.
Definitely we can talk and see how we can help each other, of course.
Yeah, but our membership from a technical perspective kind of static, but this feedback is definitely for future software releases. We can look into this and see if we can come up with something that is more structural. But on an incidental basis, you know, we can always talk and see if we can make something work. Are there any questions from the audience? Because I think we are half an hour.
Yeah.
I'm trying to continue a little. It seems that everybody stays so far, so that's good.
Yeah, if somebody wants to have, if somebody have any question, want to join us by video and voice, or if you want to just send it by chat, it's more than welcome. Arno, I think it's flexible and he can answer everything. Not personal question, please. Wink, wink.
Personal questions I can definitely answer, but maybe I will not. But you can feel free.
Ooh, okay, got it. So maybe we can
ask me anything.
Most of those questions are coming from about, for example, tools we can use now in our business.
I think we have a huge list on the website somewhere. Maybe you can share the link in the chat. But yeah, what we found out, well, for me, it was kind of still surprising that so many companies were struggling by not only working from home, but that most of the tools were not accessible, or in some cases not from home. And we are completely online. So yeah, we use Zoom, we use Hangouts for communication, and are flexible with other tools if that's needed, but those are the tools we use the most. Our bookkeeping, our banking is online. Then our support system, VoIP, everything is online. We use tools like Trello, Jira, Confluence, Slack, of course. Slack is, who doesn't use Slack? I can really advise it. We had internal chat before Slack, and somehow everything changed after Slack, and I don't know what it exactly was, but it's so far the best tool I've ever seen about internal communication. So we use the whole Google suite. So we use Google Mail, Google Docs, Google Sheets, etc., etc. So that's also very helpful. What else do we use, Hicham? Did I forget something?
No,
we've made a list on the website, so
yeah,
you can
exactly.
find.
So we can share definitely later the link, or you want to receive this kind of information by email, we are more than welcome to send to you directly without problem. So yeah, I think more those 3 minutes complete, but just I would like to close if there's nobody and there's no questions. Thank you, Diana, for sharing. I will share it to all the participants here too. I would like to know from your perspective, how do you see Openprovider and maybe this industry in general in the next, for example, for the next 2 quarters? What could happen? I mean, if the lockdown continues, for example, in Spain, I don't know, because every day say something different. On Europe, if the corona spread continues stable with the same numbers, which means we are in a bad way to get free, what is your perspective for the future in the economy, for example, for the next year, even for the next year?
Yeah, we talked to that with suppliers and with customers, and nobody really knows. It would be great to predict the future, but I think that it's unavoidable that we will see some effect, but delayed. I think probably after the summer, September, October, then we know also what impact it will have on our industry. Purely from domains, which is our core business, I'm not so worried, because what you see is that all domains that are deleted and have some value are picked up. So whether it's a good name, or there is some traffic, or there is somewhat, so they are registered again, not necessarily with us, of course, but so if normally good businesses would go bankrupt and have to terminate the domain for some reason, I think somebody else will be happy to use the domain and start a similar business, a bar or a restaurant. Those are the most endangered parts of the economy, I think. And people with nail salons and hairdressers, this kind of, you know, really small businesses with a lot of interaction with people, close interaction with people, there it's unavoidable that there will be a big fallout. Maybe 25 to maybe 20, between 25 and 50% probably will not survive. And I was hearing a podcast, and it might be that also deliberately they will not survive because it doesn't make sense for them to try to continue and pay taxes and pay staff if they cannot work for another, you know, everybody was like 4 weeks, you know, and then maybe 5, 6 is also okay. But you see now that if it takes another 2, 3, 5 weeks, they will not survive. And there will be a huge fallout, I think. And yeah.
Do you think the governments and the state or the country, European Union, for example, are helping in this specific side, or just forget about it?
Well, I have to say, and every government that I know, and it's only 2 from close by, so Netherlands and Spain. Netherlands did a lot and fast. But this was okay for the intention of the first lockdown was 2-3 weeks. So everybody was like, okay, government acted really fast, gave money very fast. That's kept the spirit good. But now they extended the lockdown till half of May, and longer for some industries already. Every event is cancelled till September, which means that the whole summer season for a lot of how do you call it in English? Bars, restaurants, events, concerts, these house parties, whatever big things that are going on, they're all done, and that they cannot cover anymore. I mean, the government gets money from taxes, and if the taxes are gone, then how can the government also continue this? So there is like this kind of moment where it only can get worse. So I believe that healthcare for me also was first. I totally believe that the lockdown was a good idea from health perspective, but it's time that governments start to really look at opening up in a sensible way, which is difficult, to open up the economies. That's my belief, because it cannot take much longer, and that will damage more eventually than the coronavirus does. And but it's like a very difficult. I don't want to. I'm happy I'm not in a government at the moment. I mean, let's be honest. These people have to also do something they've never done before, and in general, they do what they can. But it's one-sided a bit. It's healthcare focused, which was totally understandable in the beginning, but now they should start to look at healthcare and economy more or less at the same level, I would say. And
we are talking about the economy and about the business perspective, but how do you see the whole world in the next, for example, Javier is asking about in the next 6, 12, and 24 months, how do you see the whole world? For example, I think maybe our daily basis, for example, when you go to a bar, a coffee or restaurant, maybe something will change. Like we have a very huge distance between other tables. I don't know. I mean, it's quite hard to know, of course, but we are in a really exceptional situation.
What can I say? I don't know. It's the first time, you know. What I know, I mean, it's bad what's happening now, but it's not like World War II. It's not like the wars in the Middle East. So it's bad, it's very bad, and it has a huge impact, but people in general are so inventive and so, how do you call it, versatile, like bouncing back. So I'm sure that we as humanity find ways to change our behavior or to have creative ways of doing it. Who can imagine that you would have a Zoom drinks with your friends and it would actually be fun? So from that perspective, I'm not pessimistic. People will find a way and figure it out. On a global scale, yeah, I was never a fan of Microsoft or Bill Gates, but now he seems to be one of the most smart people, and not from the crisis, but way before. He predicted it already and warned governments to be prepared, and he was ignored. But I think his vision makes a lot of sense. Probably he also doesn't know anything, but that it's for the Western world, the economies will bounce back. It's easier, but for poorer countries, the impact and most poorer countries are in the southern hemisphere. So normally, if this behaves like a normal flu season, then we will see that it will. I'm not sure if that is the case. I'm not an expert, of course, in healthcare, but this was at least a theory that it should slow down a bit because of better weather and more humidity and whatever. But in the southern hemisphere, the flu season just has to start, and I hope that before that there is some medicine at least, or some vaccine available, because lockdown, if you cannot buy food in the first place, that is going to be terrible, and the healthcare system is not ready for this kind of pandemic. So yeah, I'm worried about that, to be honest.
Exactly. So sadly true. Our social security system, for example, in Spain was prepared to this huge impact. So yeah, before no, I'm not okay. I think if no, the thing here, for example, for this hospital things, I am those people who worried, for example, if I break my leg or whatever happens at home, what happens? So I cannot go to the hospital, or I feel ignored in the hospital. It's quite hard situation. It's very bad.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good lesson for humanity. That how do you want your healthcare to be? I think Mark Andreessen, you can Google it, wrote a very good piece on. It's more related to the American situation, but it's also about what should a country be able to build themselves, for example, and this is one of the biggest struggles. I mean, the world is global, but then it's a bit strange that we fight against China, against Russia, if it's a global world, because that means you need each other, and especially in a crisis. But maybe some things you should not outsource. I don't know. I believe in Europe, and you see in the crisis also that Europe is not so Europe as it should be or could be. And but that's also after the crisis the case, Should you have your own agriculture, or should you put that in a country which is more suited and has more space for agriculture? The Netherlands, for example, is one of the biggest exporters of food in the world, number 2 in the world, and the country is ridiculously small. So the technology of creating food is very advanced, apparently, but the mindset of, hey, maybe we should use the technology to produce in a country where it makes more sense. That is kind of the global thinking. And I think in crisis, people tend to go back to what they know, and makes everything very small. Well, I think it would help also. I'm a peaceful person, so for me, it doesn't matter if you're Chinese or South African or Brazilian or US. We all have to live together and share. And this is.
This was exactly what Javier said by chat. So this is a really good lesson for humanity. But I think when everything gets over, after a while, we will return to be a really bad person.
I'm afraid we're right, but we can make our own choices. So that's not easy, of course, because you live in a world that you cannot control. But also the little things can help a lot. And it's also here in Spain. We every night at 8 we clap for the healthcare workers and the police and the The people that keep.
Do you do too?
Yeah, every night. Yeah, every night at 8, and it's a small thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also a mindset thing that you are aware that these people are there. They're always there, but you don't care. You know, only if you need to go to a hospital, then you think, oh, that's shit. And you start to think about a hospital, and now you're forced to think about it every day because it has impact. So yeah, from that perspective, I hope we all learn a bit and make the right choices after.
I can say I meet my neighbors thanks to Clap every day at 8 p.m. So yeah.
Exactly.
It sounds stupid, but it's true. So I never saw my neighbors. I was living here just 4 months ago, and I never saw nobody. And then, hi, you know.
I think that's recognizable for many people in big cities. That you know, it's much more individual than maybe 20 years ago. Also because of internet and phones and everything. But yeah, it's good to know your neighbors a bit. And,
exactly.
It doesn't hurt. Maybe we should bring it to an end.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Arno, for your words.
Thank you. And
thank you for all attendees, and thank you for joining us today. We will share this video by YouTube. And if you have any comments, feel free to reach out by email. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing this more often. Maybe I think once a month or something like this.
Would be good.
So we can definitely do it next month and give a kind of update on Corona if needed. But we can also do other topics. So feel free to suggest anything, and we prepare something and share some experiences, sometimes knowledge, and sometimes opinions.
Happy moments.
And make it an interesting Friday night. Maybe we should have drinks next time.
Yeah, next time we should drink something, you know.
Good. Let's do that. Thanks, and everybody, good weekend, and stay safe. And hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye. Thanks.